Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every life when the mirror asks a single burning question. Are you moving like a person who is meant to win, or just surviving like someone who's afraid to try? The difference between the two isn't luck. It's not talent. It's not even opportunity. It's mindset and everything that flows from it. When you carry yourself with the energy of certainty, people treat you differently. Doors begin to open not because of who you know, but because of who you've decided to become. You walk into the room and the room adjusts. That's the energy of someone who refuses to negotiate with fear. That's someone who doesn't just hope to succeed, they expect to. You can't fake that energy. It comes from a deep-rooted decision. A decision to stop waiting for signs, to stop waiting for a perfect moment, and to realize you are the sign, you are the signal. And the moment you shift your internal world, your external world scrambles to catch up. Every day that you wake up, you've got two choices. Move like you're doubting or move like you're destined. One will drain you. The other will pull you toward everything you've ever wanted, even when the road is long, even when the path is lonely. Because those who are meant to win, they're often misunderstood in the beginning. The world calls them crazy, arrogant, unrealistic. But soon enough, the same world asks how they did it. There is no secret, there is only decision. A deep, permanent decision to own your space, to rise in a world built to keep you average, to stop asking for reassurance and start moving like a force of nature. And that force doesn't beg. It doesn't explain itself. It doesn't apologize for wanting more. It works, it refines, it grows in silence. And when it finally speaks, the world listens because it's earned the right to be heard. You can always spot the person meant to win. They don't need the spotlight. They are the spotlight. Their presence is their power. They move with intention. They guard their energy. They stay away from drama and they run toward pressure because pressure for them is proof they're leveling up. Pressure builds diamonds, but only for those who are bold enough to stay in the fire. And if you're going to act like you're meant to win, you need to make peace with the fire. You need to welcome it. You need to look at resistance and say, good. Now we're getting somewhere. That mindset separates the dreamers from the doers. Most people flirt with greatness. They touch it once, feel how heavy it is, and walk away. But the few lean in. They embrace the weight. They build the muscle. And they carry the dream not like a burden, but like a birthright. So, don't ask, will this work out? Ask, how do I become the kind of person it has to work out for? Because when you rise to meet your calling, when you align your actions with your belief, when you cut off every exit but the one marked victory, the game changes. It has to. You've changed. Because the moment you change, the universe takes notice. Not in some mystical way, but in the most practical terms possible. You show up sharper. You walk in with focus. People feel your energy before you even speak. And opportunities, real ones, begin to orbit around you because you're no longer playing small. You're not hoping to be chosen. You're choosing yourself. People always say success finds the prepared. What they don't tell you is that preparation isn't about being perfect. It's about being relentless. The person who acts like they're meant to win isn't necessarily the fastest, smartest, or strongest. But they're the one who keeps showing up after life throws its worst. They don't flinch. They don't fold. They adjust their crown and get back to it. You can see it in how they carry themselves. There's no desperation, only direction. No panic, only poise. They're not looking for shortcuts because they are the long game. Every setback becomes a stepping stone, every failure a forge. They don't ask why me, they ask what's next, because they know deeply that resistance is part of royalty. See, acting like you're meant to win doesn't mean pretending you've got it all figured out. It means refusing to let uncertainty slow you down. It means taking that first step without seeing the whole staircase. It means betting on yourself every single time, even when you're scared. Especially when you're scared. Most people wait for clarity before they act. Winners act, and clarity meets them on the road. They know that motion breeds momentum, and momentum attracts miracles. That's the rhythm of progress, action, adjustment, repeat. No overthinking, no doubting, just pure forward energy. And don't get it twisted. This is not about hype. This is about identity. When you decide that you're the kind of person who gets up, shows up, and follows through, you start to build proof. You start to trust yourself. And once that self-trust locks in, the world outside has no choice but to respond. That's when things start moving fast. That's when results start stacking, not because life got easier, but because you got bolder. You started acting like the win was inevitable, and when you believe something that deeply, it becomes contagious. People feel it. They want to be part of it. They want to work with you, follow you, build with you. But here's the key. It doesn't start with applause. It doesn't start with validation. It starts when you decide that you are done playing the background in your own life. It starts when you look at the fear, the doubt, the obstacles, and walk anyway with your head high, your chest open, and your purpose loud in your heartbeat. You want to win? Then carry yourself like you've already crossed the finish line. Let your presence speak before you do. Let your movement reflect your mindset. And whatever you do, never again ask for permission to be powerful. Just be. Because that's what people meant to win do they become. They become the vision before the vision is real. They live in the result before the result exists. They don't perform for approval. They perform because it's who they are. Every action becomes a declaration. Every step is a vote for their future self. They don't chase, they attract by virtue of who they're becoming and what they've already decided is true. You want to change your world, change how you see yourself in it. Stop looking at the top of the mountain and wondering if you belong there. You do, but only if you move like someone who's already earned the summit. That means showing up early. That means staying late. That means when the mood fades, your mission doesn't. People meant to win are dangerous not because they're ruthless, but because they're clear. They don't waste energy proving their worth. They don't get distracted by noise, trends, or temporary comfort. They know exactly where they're going and what they're building. And when you operate with that level of intention, everything you do becomes sharper, stronger. Most people are scattered. They start strong, then fade. They talk big, but don't move. But those who are meant to win, they're consistent. Quietly, persistently, consistent. They're stacking habits while others are chasing hacks. They're mastering the basics while others are looking for secrets. Because they know there are no secrets, just work, belief, and time. They'll fear the climb because they've made peace with the process. They know the delays are part of the deal. They know the sacrifices are the price of greatness. And they pay that price willingly, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. And here's the truth that separates them from the rest. They don't need motivation. They've got identity. Motivation comes and goes. Identity stays. When your actions flow from who you believe you are, you don't need to be hyped up to show up. You show up because it's what someone like you does. You think champions wait to feel ready? No. They decide they're ready. They take the leap, then grow the wings. They step into rooms they don't feel qualified for, and they rise to meet the moment. Because they know the version of themselves who wins is born in moments of pressure, not comfort. So keep moving, keep refining, keep speaking power into your vision. Protect your peace, starve your distractions, elevate your circle, and above all, trust that you are already equipped. Not someday, not eventually, but right now. This isn't about faking confidence. It's about remembering who you are before the world told you to doubt. You were born to rise, born to lead, born to win. But only if you act like it. Not tomorrow, today. Not when it's easy, especially when it's hard, because those who win don't wait for the world to believe. They move like it's already done and the world catches up. And when the world finally catches up, it'll look like an overnight success. But you'll know the truth. You'll know the years you put in behind closed doors. You'll know the mornings you rose before the sun, the nights you stayed long after others gave up. You'll remember every moment of silence when no one was clapping and you had to clap for yourself. That's the price. That's the process. And people meant to win, they pay it gladly because they're not addicted to the outcome. They're addicted to the evolution. They fall in love with the becoming, with the sharpening of their edge, the stretching of their spirit, the building of something no one else can see yet. While others are waiting for momentum, they create it. While others are stuck in analysis, they're deep in action. They don't wait to feel inspired. They know inspiration follows movement. And while the world debates what's possible, they're out proving it. They don't need to be loud, but their presence is undeniable. They walk into a space with purpose in their posture. They listen more than they speak, but when they speak, people lean in. Because when someone moves with conviction, everyone feels it. And conviction comes from doing the hard things repeatedly until hard things become your norm. There's no fanfare in the trenches, no praise for the reps done in solitude, but that's where winners are made. In the moments where no one is watching and you still choose to go all in. When quitting would be easy and you stay the course. When you're tired, doubting, stretched, and you still rise. Because people meant to win don't need perfect conditions. They are the condition. They bring the standard. They know that every challenge is shaping them, every loss is teaching them, every delay is preparing them for something greater. Nothing is wasted, nothing is random. It's all a setup, if you choose to see it that way. And it's not just about personal gain. Winners lift the room. Their presence is permission for others to believe. They inspire through action, not just words. Because nothing speaks louder than a life lived with intentional fire, a life that says, watch me, not because I'm special, but because I decided. That's the power of walking like you were meant to win. It's not a performance, it's not a costume, it's your essence. It's who you are when the noise is gone, when the crowd is silent, and it's just you and the goal. And in that silence, you don't flinch. You focus. That's the difference. Others wait to be chosen. You choose yourself. Others need external validation. You build internal certainty. Others hope to win. You act like it's already yours. Because when you do, it's only a matter of time before the world adjusts, before results align, before the vision in your head becomes a reality in your hands, all because you walked like it was inevitable, and eventually it was. You see, inevitability is not something granted, it's something claimed. It's built brick by brick through discipline, self-respect, and non-negotiable standards. People meant to win don't operate on feelings, they operate on decision. They don't hope to have a good day, they decide it will be one. They don't wonder if they'll follow through, they've already committed. Long before the alarm goes off, long before the pressure rises, the choice has already been made. I will show up. I will rise. I will not fold. That decision becomes armor, it becomes fuel. Because when life throws its worst, they don't fall apart. They rise into a sharper version of themselves. They don't take adversity personally, they take it professionally. Every setback becomes a signal. Level up. Every loss is a lesson in disguise. They extract the wisdom, leave the pain, and move forward stronger. They know they're not competing with anyone else. They're only competing with their previous self. Comparison has no place in the life of someone who's committed to their own standard, because when you walk like you were meant to win, you don't look left or right, you lock in. You build in silence, you elevate in private, and when the moment comes to shine, you don't shrink, you step in fully, not surprised, but ready. Readiness is not something you wait for, it's something you become. It's built through repetitions in silence, through uncomfortable growth, through choosing alignment over approval, purpose over popularity. And when your habits align with your vision, when your actions mirror your beliefs, you become unstoppable. Not because everything goes your way, but because nothing can throw you off course for long. And what people don't always understand is that the winner's journey is lonely by design. There are seasons when you'll be misunderstood, misjudged, even doubted by people you love. But if you're acting like you were meant to win, that noise doesn't distract you. You don't argue, you don't defend, you build, you move. And eventually results say everything words couldn't. There's a frequency to power, a rhythm to momentum. People meant to win move to a beat only they can hear. It's in their steps, in their breath, in the way they face resistance with steady eyes and an unshakable core. You can feel it. They don't just want it, they embody it. And that embodiment changes everything. It alters what you tolerate, what you chase, what you allow into your space. Your energy becomes sacred, your time becomes expensive, and your goals, they're not wishes anymore. They're promises, and you do not break promises to yourself. So the question is never, will it happen for me? The real question is, have I become the kind of person it must happen for? Because once that identity is locked in, the game is already over. You're no longer trying to win, you're just letting the world catch up to the decision you already made. And when that happens, it's done. Because once that level of decision lives inside you, everything else bends to it. Doubt might whisper, but it won't stop you. Fear might knock, but it won't enter. Distractions may tempt you, but you won't trade your crown for comfort. Why? Because you've outgrown the old version of you, the one who hesitated, the one who overthought, the one who waited for signs. You are the sign now. You've become the evidence. When you act like you were meant to win, every move you make is laced with intention. You're no longer seeking permission. You're setting the tone. You become the thermostat, not the thermometer. You don't react to the environment, you influence it. Whether it's in a room, on a call, or in a moment of silence, your energy enters first. And your energy says, I belong here. I was built for this. I didn't stumble into this moment. I earned it. That doesn't mean you won't feel fear. It means you'll move anyway. It doesn't mean you won't fail. It means you'll rise faster. Winners are not immune to adversity. They're simply immune to quitting. They've made peace with imperfection. They've turned pressure into a mirror and chosen to keep showing up when it would have been easier to retreat. That consistency is their superpower. While others are looking for magic bullets, they're stacking days. While others chase excitement, they're anchored in purpose. It's not about doing one thing 1,000 times. It's about doing the right things consistently until the world has no choice but to respond. And over time, something powerful happens. The gap between who you are and who you want to be begins to close. Not because you got lucky, not because the timing was perfect, but because you acted like the outcome was inevitable and then lived in alignment with that belief. Every decision reinforces your identity. Every early morning, every late night, every no to distraction and yes to discipline is a vote for the version of you that dominates, that leads, that finishes what they start, and after enough votes, there's no debate left. The old story loses power, the new reality becomes undeniable. That's the truth most people miss. The external world follows the internal shift, not the other way around. You don't wait for evidence, you become it. You walk different, talk different, carry yourself like success is your native language. Like pressure is your proving ground. Like growth is your default setting. And from there, your path becomes clear, not because it's easy, but because your mind is ready, not because the world made space, but because you refuse to shrink. And now, people can feel it. They may not know what changed, but they know something did. You became undeniable. You moved like it was already yours. And when you live like that long enough, it becomes. Results show up. Respect follows. And everything you once dreamed of, it starts chasing you. And when it starts chasing you, it's not a surprise. It's alignment. You look around and realize you're not lucky. You're ready. You weren't waiting for a breakthrough. You became the breakthrough. You weren't sitting back hoping someone would discover you. You discovered yourself. And once you do that, no one can take it from you. That's the power of moving like it's already done. It rewires how you show up in every space you enter. You stop proving and start being. You stop explaining and start executing. You stop chasing validation and start becoming the standard. It's a quiet shift, but it makes the loudest impact. People can't quite put their finger on it, but they feel it. The energy, the presence, the clarity. You speak less, but say more. You need less, but produce more. Because your identity is no longer tied to reaction, but to intention. You know who you are, you know where you're going, and because of that, uncertainty doesn't shake you, it sharpens you. See, people who are meant to win don't avoid resistance, they invite it. They understand that diamonds are created under pressure, that legacy is built in the dark before the spotlight ever arrives. They're not afraid of the hard parts. They're focused on who they're becoming because of them. They know that the next level isn't given, it's earned through endurance, faith, and unshakable standards. So they move different, they value different things. While others chase applause, they chase alignment. While others seek attention, they protect their focus. While others scroll, they build. They're not worried about the timeline because they trust the process. They're not in it for fast, they're in it for forever. They understand that the journey isn't linear, and success doesn't always show up with fireworks. Sometimes it shows up as one more quiet morning of showing up when no one is watching, one more decision to not quit when it would be easier to, one more moment of choosing discipline over distraction, and over time, that's what separates them. Not talent, not access, not luck, but consistency, vision, identity, the refusal to betray their future self for momentary comfort, the refusal to let fear speak louder than faith, the refusal to shrink to fit environments they've already outgrown. Because people meant to win are not here to blend in, they're here to become, to embody, to rise. They don't wait for the perfect moment to believe in themselves. They create the moment, they declare it. They decide and then they live like it's done. And that decision echoes in how they walk, in how they speak, in the way they keep going long after motivation is faded. They aren't playing a short game. They're building something permanent, a legacy. And legacies aren't built in noise. They're built in intention. So if you were meant to win and you are the only thing left to do is move like it, every single day, without apology, without hesitation, without delay, because delay is the language of doubt, and doubt has no place where destiny lives. People meant to win don't wait for the stars to align. They move like they are the alignment. They walk with such purpose that the universe, the room, the opportunity adjusts itself around their presence. They don't ask for the door to open. They show up like the door is already theirs to walk through. That's not ego. That's certainty. The kind of certainty that only comes from showing up when it was hard, standing tall when it felt like everything was falling apart, and refusing to settle when silence stretched longer than expected. This isn't about pretending. It's about remembering. Remembering that the future is shaped by the few who dare to act like they've already arrived. You see, most people are waiting for a sign, but winners become the sign. They don't need a green light. They don't need applause. They don't even need to feel 100%. They just need breath in their lungs and a vision they're willing to fight for. That's it, and with that they go, day after day, step after step, fall after fall, until the path clears, not because it was easy, but because they were committed. There's something magnetic about that kind of commitment. It draws the right people. It repels the wrong ones. It opens the right doors, not by force, but by flow. You don't chase, you align. You don't beg, you build. Because when you carry yourself like someone who already knows how the story ends, the world begins to take notes. And here's the truth. Energy doesn't lie. People can feel when you're solid within yourself, when you're not trying to impress, just express. When you're not seeking attention, just staying in alignment. When you're not trying to be liked, you're trying to be authentic. And authenticity is undefeated. It's the rarest currency and the most powerful one. That's what makes people meant to win unstoppable. They aren't attached to outcomes. They're attached to execution. They know results will come. But in the meantime, they're in love with the rhythm, in love with the stretch, in love with the person they're becoming. They've burned the bridges back to average. There is no plan B, no backup identity, no version of the story where they stay small to keep others comfortable. Their presence is their declaration. Their discipline is their proof. Their persistence is their promise to their future self that they will not fold. So when life tests them, and it always does, they don't retreat. They recalibrate. When the vision wavers, they remind themselves who they are. They speak life over their calling. They tighten their circle. They double down on faith and action. And they move again and again and again, not for attention, not for applause, but because they've decided. And when someone truly decides, not just hopes, not just dreams, but decides, it's only a matter of time before reality aligns with the identity they've already claimed. Because that's the core of it all, identity. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your standards. And standards come from who you believe yourself to be. Winners don't just set goals, they set standards they refuse to break, even when no one's watching. Especially when no one's watching. That's when the real shift happens, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. Not when it's easy, but when it's silent, lonely, inconvenient, and they still choose discipline over comfort. See, people meant to win don't chase hype. Hype fades. Emotion is unstable. But standards, identity, those are permanent if you choose to live by them. When you live from a standard of excellence, you no longer need to be convinced to act. You simply act because it's who you are. You don't wait to feel inspired. You show up, and inspiration meets you on the path. They don't make decisions based on comfort or convenience. They make decisions based on who they're becoming. And every time they choose the harder road, the earlier wake up, the tougher conversation, the extra rep, they're not just building results, they're building proof. Proof that they are who they say they are. And once you collect enough proof, your confidence becomes unshakable. You stop wondering if you'll make it. You know it's done. And that knowing doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you anchored. You become grounded in purpose, not swayed by praise or thrown off by criticism. Because when your confidence is internal, external chaos doesn't touch you. The noise can rise, the doubts can come, the pressure can build, and you still stand. Not because you're pretending, but because you've trained for this. You've lived the early mornings. You've survived the quiet seasons. You've walked through the fire, not around it. And you've emerged sharper, clearer, more certain. That's why you don't fold. That's why you don't flinch, because you've earned your certainty, and no one can give or take that from you. People meant to win build from the inside out. They don't rely on external validation to fuel internal drive. Their belief comes first, and the world catches up later. That's why when setbacks hit, they don't lose identity. They adjust strategy, not self. Because failure doesn't define them. Quitting does, and that's not even on the table. They've already rehearsed the win in their mind 1,000 times. So when the moment comes, they don't get ready, they are ready. Because readiness is not a feeling, it's a state of being. And people meant to win live in that state, daily, relentlessly, without excuse, without apology. Because once you've chosen to embody the outcome, once you've declared with your actions, your focus, your habits, that you're already the person who has it all, that's left is time. Time to match the vibration, time to reveal what's already true in your spirit. And when that time comes, there's no surprise, no shout. Because you didn't hope for this, you built it. Reason.